Here's the snapback. Here's the kick. He's got the leg into it. If it is good, and it is! Austin Starr, a 49-yard field goal, and Indiana leads 27-24.
Oh, it's an end around one to throw. Page looking at the quarterback, and it's a touchdown! Page finds Leno! Penix rolling out of the pocket to his strong hand. Delivers deep down the field. Caught, touchdown! Fried Fogel again.
We're here to review a game we hope you didn't have to watch. That's right. I'm pretty sure Mike tore his ACL on purpose just so he didn't have to overthrow any more receivers. Just kidding. Since we started this terrible idea of a season recap, we might as well talk the win over Maryland. This is the LEO podcast. And today, well, always, I'm your host, Michael Bragg, and you can find me on Twitter at Braggley, at BRAGGLEY. Today, I'm joined by our producer, Seth. You can find him on Twitter if you want terrible Purdue-driven opinions, at Setah5. That's SETAH5. What's up, Setho?
Oh, boy. This feels like a punishment. If I was a blind person got his sight for the first time and this was the first thing he saw, he would not understand the gift of sight at this point. He would happy being blind and probably would be asking for money back. This is a Helen Keller game.
Oh, God. Yeah, the announcers were bad enough that you didn't even want to listen to it either.
No,
so.
Yes, sorry. Yes, thanks for clearing me up. Yes, this was one you didn't want to see or listen to.
Yeah, you could have picked from a lot of different blind people, but you went full on blind and deaf too. So what a start, huh? I took out Penix pretty quick, and then you just took out the whole blind and deaf community at the same time. So
nobody's safe. Nobody's safe today.
Yes, and if this blind person turned 2020 lived with you, they would immediately flip back over to this game after having to watch Purdue for 4 hours. So, all right, well, let's get to breaking down. It is a W, as much as it sounds like an L from the intro. It is a W. IU wins 27-11 at home over what was a 2-1 Maryland team who had barely played any sort of football all year. Pretty good defensive output. I thought after rewatching it, maybe we got a little lucky on a couple things, especially on that first drive where Tialali Tagovailoa, whatever, Tua's brother.
Talia Lollipop. Yep.
Yes, Talia Lollipop. Overthrew somebody that I literally could have thrown backwards, left-handed between my legs and scored a touchdown.
Wide open corner route to the back of the end zone, overthrew him by about 10 yards, should have been 7-0 right then. They settled for a field goal attempt.
Yeah.
And that was one of the saddest attempts I've seen in a long time. I'm trying so hard not to rag on college kids, but woof.
Yeah, I want to say it was from like 20 yards out too.
30. I think it was 30. Yeah.
30.
But
I mean, come on. Again. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can make a 30-yard field goal, but I mean, come on.
I couldn't. I'll tell you that right now. No way in hell.
He's probably like an Alabama transfer too.
No, he's got one of those names like Petrino. So.
Oh, never mind. He's like a Rutgers transfer.
I have no idea. I'm just slandering Petrino's last name to people.
Just a quick look, and now that I look at what they did before playing IU, I remember coming into this game a little bit nervous, but then at the same time, they've played one good defense prior to IU. They had their Ohio State game canceled and Michigan State game canceled due to COVID issues within their own program. But before that, they played Northwestern, scored 3 points. But then they played Minnesota, scored 45, played Penn State, beat them, scored 35. And so that at that point, I'm coming in, man, they're 2-1. Tua's bro looks decent against these last two games.
Not just that they were 2-1. You said he looked decent. They were talking him up like he was the next coming. I mean, he was going to change Maryland football in a way that they had never seen before. That was the 2-1 hype that I remember.
Yeah, and they had that running back, that Funk. I don't like doing this, but when it comes to running backs, I feel like you have to. He's the white running back, right? The white guy, Funk.
He's the guy who didn't play. That's all I know.
Yeah. I want to say, Jake Funk. Yeah, that's him. You look at this dude, he looks like a linebacker at Wisconsin. So
That's not a put down most.
No,
most
it's not
years.
a put down. It's not. And I don't mean to be to distinguish a white running back versus any other sort of running back, but that's a pretty
Xander Horvath,
obvious
baby.
difference. I was thinking more like Christian McCaffrey or
Mike Allstott.
Oh well, I don't remember when he played IU, but yeah, Xander definitely gives me some nightmares. So yeah, but either way, back to this game and back to no more race talk.
Yeah, so we should have been down. Guys should have been down. I just talked a we. Wow. Can we cut and edit that? Anyways, let's move on. Yeah, it should be 7-0 Maryland, and IU should be receiving a kickoff, but it's 0-0.
Yes. So that was a long drive, and then IU gets the ball back, and there was a lot of like oh crap kind of moments on their first drive again. Penix started real slow again, missing open receivers, overthrowing people.
Not even close.
Yeah, and it was kind of that theme all through the game while he was still out there. They did kind of get it put together here pretty quick with a long drive later on in the first quarter that finished with a Stevie Scott touchdown.
They should have been down 10-0 at that point.
Yes,
there was another missed opportunity they had. I think it was an interception deep in their zone.
Yes, yeah, that was the one. Well, it wasn't the pick yet. The pick was next. The next drive. That was the one where it was another long drive, 45 yards, and then Tywone Mullen made I think a pretty badass interception.
Yes.
But IU had two guys back, so whether he would have picked it, it would have been incomplete either way. So, but yeah, it was down at the 2, and then again, 7-0, 7-3, no, 7-0 at that point. Again, IU punts, and then another interception. This one was when I was starting to feel pretty good at that point when Jalen Williams picks it off. You think it's 7-0. We looked really good coming off of a long drive. And then he fumbles. So that's
recurring theme.
Yes. The second interception with a fumble in consecutive weeks from two different players. So Tom Allen actually addressed that in the post-game press conference. Weird enough, he's like, it's something we're going to work on. Ball security with our corners. And I was like, oh, man. I mean, he did take a weird hit from the side up against the sideline. It just happened. It is what it is. But either way, this boring first half ends
mercifully
7-3. Yes, mercifully is exactly right. And I'm pretty sure Penix at that point was something along the lines of like 3 of 15 or something.
Is either 2 of 15 or 3 of 17? I can't remember. I remember they said both of those numbers at some point during the rewatch.
Yeah, he finished 6 of 19 for 84 yards.
He got on fire there to start the third.
Yeah, to start the third quarter, he started hitting the open receivers. This was the game that nobody had seen from him, and it's just kind of those. I'm a pretty superstitious guy, so like if my day kind of starts off bad, sometimes I'll talk myself into it being whole due date thing. It can only go downhill from here, because downhill's easier, uphill's harder. And never mind. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it just started weird, and it's something at that point had me feeling like, man, this isn't going right. This game's not going to go right. I didn't think
you had to ask yourself if he was going to right the ship. Like, yeah. I mean, there was a question if it was even going to happen. I mean, go ahead.
So a lot of the receivers were covered, but not covered to where you couldn't make a pass to them. Not something that he wasn't doing against Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State in the previous
We make the
games.
distinction of being open and being covered. I mean, you throw people open. You throw the ball to spots where only the receiver can catch it.
Yeah.
People are covered. Receivers are covered. But you throw the ball, you throw them open. And he was throwing them more covered, if at all possible. There was some where it's like, is that intended for the DB? Is that intended for the linebacker? There was a couple they caught where I was like, oh, that's an interception. And somehow it snuck through. And then you see like Wop kind of running up the sidelines for 14 yards, something like that. But I mean, it was really, they weren't close. It was high, it was short, it was wide. There was not even a consistency to where he was missing.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you think about it in the first half, so if he had 2 or 3 completions, again, we do all of this research before we do these podcasts, obviously. So he had 2 or 3 completions in the first half. One of them was on an offsides play where he made a great play where he spun away from a guy that came totally unblocked, but then just threw the ball up. And it was almost like the guy from Maryland. Now, I do know this for a fact from being in that stadium for so many years, is that where that ball was, that guy was probably staring directly into the sun at that point of the day. But still, he didn't move. Like, he just stood there and was like just standing there with his hands up. And then Miles Marshall comes like flying in and grabs the ball. Like, so it was just a ball, literally, like I think Brandon said it before, like a 500 ball. Like, hey, 500. And then he just kind of throws it up. Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's a free play at that point, but that was a 30-something yard gain. So that's the majority of
it. Had to be doubly disappointing for you, as Penix is the type of guy, if he doesn't have his arm going, he can affect the game in other ways. You know, obviously his legs. But he wasn't even using those up until obviously the play. He wasn't really using his mobility to his advantage either. And it's not like they were giving him these keep him in the pocket zone blitzes or edge rushes that were designed to keep him in. There was one time I can think of where he kind of escaped up the middle and maybe got 8 yards and bounced to the outside.
Yeah,
but aside from
slid on that one.
Yeah, but aside from the play, there was no time where he wiggled his way out and really got chunk yardage on the ground, which, you know, you think is the default backup option for this kind of guy.
Yeah, so obviously you're not as in tuned with the IU fan base as Brandon and I are, but that was kind
of
a
good thing. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was kind of a push from everybody, was why isn't Penix running the football? Why isn't Penix running the football? So when he got hurt his freshman year against Penn State, that was on a run. Just I believe it. Yeah, he was either scrambling or it was a read option where he went outside, he tore his ACL. The other one I can't remember. And then this one on a run on, was it a scramble or just a read option to the outside? But either way, we've been pushing him for him to run because they've been running read options and he's not reading anything. He's just handing the ball off.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not going to say I'm not guilty for saying, hey, he needs to run the football. But the kid's not, even coming out of high school, the kid's not a dual threat quarterback. He's always been a pro style quarterback. So he's going to be able to run a little bit, but the kid is known for his arm and his well, not today, but his accuracy. And, I mean, he's got moxie, man. The kid's got swag and is clearly a winner just based off of his record as a starter. But yeah, just, I don't know if we're going to see him run again. I mean, unless you have like a Peyton Manning, you know, one-off naked boot for 37 yards against the Titans kind of thing or something like that.
Yeah, I guess this is the question that, you know, we'll get to the injury. My question at this time was, if he can't run and he's not throwing, should you have considered going to Tuttle earlier? Like, that was something that was in the back of my, and again, when you rewatch it, you know, you're waiting for the play to happen. But he was, I want to say it was like, again, like 2 for 13, 2 for 15, whatever it was. And I'm saying, if he's not throwing and he's not running, why is Tuttle not in this game? Because the best offense you guys had for the vast majority of the first half was Wildcat, with either Ellis or Stevie Scott as the de facto Wildcat quarterback. That's where you got big chunk yardage several times. I don't know. That seemed to be what was working for you guys.
Sure. So just to give you kind of, and everybody already knows this probably if you're listening, is that IU struggled so much with the run game all year. And this was the first game, I want to say, that we finally saw the Wildcat, you know, something that was from circa 2006, like Ronnie Brown Dolphins. Sound about right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was from even before that, when they had the Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Arkansas with Run DMC, Peyton Hillis.
Gotcha. Oh my God.
I think they had a quarterback named Dick.
Peyton Hillis was on NCAA football, wasn't he? On the cover.
He was on Madden.
Madden. That's
Yeah.
right. Oh my God.
Yeah, Felix Jones. Felix Jones, Run
That's right.
DMC, and Peyton Hillis were all in the same backfield, and they were running Wildcat. And then
Well,
Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown at Auburn did the same thing next year or
yeah.
something like that. And then
Man, what a
Ronnie
backfield.
Brown in the pros.
Yeah. So here's the thing with that backfield too is that Maryland couldn't. Well, I'm not going to say they couldn't stop it, but they were having a harder time stopping that than they were having at least a threat of a pass or a run. Stevie Scott is not going to throw the football.
No.
He did not play quarterback in high school. He was a linebacker and a running back, and most people recruited him as a linebacker, including IU. Gave him the option. Hey, do you want to play running back or linebacker? What do you want to do? Good choice.
Yeah, he made the right choice.
So either way, let's start the second half. Big drive all the way down to, I think it finishes about the 3 on a read option play where they just tried to hammer Stevie up the middle. Mike hit a couple balls here. I believe he had some Tim Baldwin, he had 2 pass completions. So he was he looked a little bit better. 3 completions on the drive. So we were like, okay, maybe he's coming out, second half, a little bit of rhythm. They drive down, nothing. I think it was 4th and 2, 4th and 3, just short. But then the very next play,
they gave him a favorable spot too. I mean, he was a full yard short, and they made it seem like it was inches.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to see him with those camo jerseys on.
I've been trying so hard not to make jokes about that.
So then the great thing is the next play, and this was funny from Tua's brother, is he gets sacked on a play that I feel like 90% of I'm not gonna say Division I quarterbacks, major Division I quarterbacks don't get sacked on, or they at least throw the ball away. He got sacked on a couple times where it's just like, dude, are you paying attention to the game? Like DK came off the edge, I want to say, or maybe right up the middle, which is fine, but still get rid of the football. He had all day to get rid of the ball and never got rid of it. So we got a safety out of that, and then that sets up the next drive. Do you have any thoughts on the safety?
That was a great play defensively. That's one of the hardest plays to read as a D end or an outside linebacker coming off the edge. So to read the quarterback and get him, that was a great play. But to echo what you were saying, I think I was going to say something about this later, but Talia was unathletic. I expected kind of this whirling dervish quarterback with escapability, kind of running circles around defensive linemen. I did not see any of that. And like you said, there were several times where he kind of threw the ball out of bounds underhanded, where you're just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it doesn't have to be this hard.
Yeah, I think there's one in the third quarter where he's running away to his right, and he maybe is running backwards too. And somebody's coming up from behind. Maybe it's Zimba or Jonathan King. And he's coming up from behind him, and he just kind of like, I don't even know. It would be like, again, like me running to my right and then trying to throw the ball left-handed, which I can't throw the football left-handed at all. Like I can, but it's really weird looking. Like that, but then just throwing it up while being tackled to nobody, to where if IU had anybody in a zone at that point, I think that's a pick six. Like they're gone. It's just a bad play. Now, granted, I know he's a freshman, a redshirt freshman transfer, or is he a sophomore?
This is the hardest thing to follow in sports right now, is what grade or eligibility somebody is.
Yeah. So we know he sat at Alabama and then got an immediate transfer.
Yeah, so I guess he's a redshirt freshman.
So yeah. So, you have all these giant expectations for people's brothers when they come in. I don't know how often that works.
Remember Steven Rivers?
No.
Exactly.
No. I mean, I guess unless you're a Manning.
Philip's little brother, I think he went to LSU.
No, I don't remember him.
That's the point.
So yeah, I guess unless you're a Manning, where it's literally built into your blood, I'm not sure it always works out. Or a Mullen. Clearly the Mullins are very good.
Do you see the news about Mullen number 3?
No.
IU's Final Five?
Oh, well, that's great. I think I don't have any hopes up for him. I think he ends up at a different
West
school.
Virginia.
Maybe Miami or something.
Yeah.
That's just the way they want to go, and that's fine. If he wants to do his own thing, that's what his two other brothers have done too. So that's cool.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. You may not talk about it. You may just be producing the whole time. I don't know. So then the next drive, so the safety happens. My confidence at that point is like, all right, so maybe
Game's
Maryland
over.
kind of sucks. Because they can't get anything going offensively against their good defense. My theory going into the game is correct. So then we get another big drive. So run, pass, run, pass. So then, again, another good drive. And then it happens. On a 2nd and 4 from the 24-yard line, Penix gets outside, 21 yards down the sidelines. It looked like a totally harmless play. He goes out of bounds. He barely gets touched. I heard it live. I don't want to say I thought it was. I'm never that person. I'm always so optimistic when an injury happens. Like, okay, cool. He got up and walked away. Maybe he's just freaking out because it's already happened twice to him. When he goes out of bounds, don't listen to it because it'll hurt, especially for somebody like you that's had an ACL tear. You hear him and he goes down and you hear just like that, right as he kind of rolls out of the screen, like behind the stands or behind the view of the stands, you can kind of hear him scream. And at that point live, I was like, oh crap.
I thought I texted you and I looked for the text in our group. And I think I said, oh, that's a torn hamstring. Like just the way he kind of hobbled, I thought for sure it was like getting a sniper shot right in the hamstring. And I was like, oh, he'll just stretch it out and, he might be out a week or two. And you're like, no, that's really bad. And I'm like, I don't know. When I tore my ACL, it didn't hurt at all. I just couldn't run ever again. So I was just like, all right. Yeah. And then of course on the rewatch, which was I think 2 days later, was when the 60-minute, whatever it is, the Big Ten and 60 came out, that the whole bottom of the game, it kept saying Michael Penix out indefinitely, torn ACL. I'm like, oh shit, like not the reminder I wanted to see.
Yeah. So it's that was
also,
tough to watch.
I just want to say, feel bad for the kid. I as a Purdue guy, you always have to say you never want to see that. It's awful. And the way that the whole shadows were, it was all like blacked out, so you could barely see any. I'm not laughing. I'm sorry. You could barely see anything, and it was like it was some kind of sad melodramatic movie or TV movie. It's like everything is in shadows, and yeah, it was tough, man. That you never like to see that happen.
Yeah. And I didn't really notice this part until we rewatched it, was the immediate concern from the trainers. Like there were like 3 trainers around him immediately within, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds of him going down. I get that that's like your star. And then you hear him scream because it's a virtually empty stadium. And you hear that. And then, he sprints over and again, I thought this, and I always go back to this on ACL injuries to players on the teams that I follow. I remember the first one, or at least the first one that I remember seeing was Edgerrin James. It was in Kansas City. I want to say it was a Thursday night or a Monday night game. And he went down and he tore his ACL, but I didn't know that at the time or how bad that really was. But he got up. He went down. I think maybe a trainer came over. Maybe a trainer didn't come over, but he like got up and kind of like limped over to the sideline. And I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. And then it comes out, it torn ACL. So even then, every time somebody gets up from a torn ACL, I'm always like, no problem. They'll be okay. At least they didn't tear their ACL. And then the next day, there it is. So either way.
That's exactly what happened with me. I mean, I played one more play because I didn't realize it was torn. I thought I was like, oh, I just tweaked it. Guy crosses me over and I fall down. I'm like, oh, yeah, my knee has no mobility. It's over. But when my sister tore her ACL in college basketball, I mean, I could hear that thing pop. There was no doubt about it. So it's weird how, different kind of tears. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of walk on it normally afterwards in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember when Boobie Miles tore his.
No,
I know he yelled pretty bad. I don't know. That's a different podcast. You can check
you just
that
want
out.
me to be hurt because this is you from Odessa,
You from Midland.
Midland.
You
Damn it.
from Midland. So let's wrap up the game real quick. So either way, this drive, the awful drive, awful in terms of losing Penix. Somehow they continued to play football after that. They score pretty quick. Tuttle comes in, and they actually let him throw the ball on a 2-point conversion. Good pass out to the tight end for the 2-pointer. They're up 17-3, and then punt, and then Chucky comes on, gets a field goal, and then this is where it's about. This was the turning point. This is where it was done. They're up 20-3, and then it was done. The pressure was on Tua's brother. I believe Jonathan King. Let me look this up. Yeah, Jonathan King comes off the edge and sacks him on first down. And then after that, he's just like, oh, God, this is going to be bad. IU gets pressure
he had
with
his bags
4.
packed.
Yeah.
I mean, that he mailed it at that point. You could tell.
Yeah. IU got pressure with 4 on that play. I remember watching today where they go, IU's bringing 4. I mean, and they never get pressure with 4, ever. They're always blitzing somebody. Get pressure with 4. Jonathan King comes off the edge and just obliterates him blindside. And then the very next play, I think they only ran 3. And I think it was CO got a ton of pressure right up the middle. And at that point, that little baby, Tua's brother, he's so tiny. I don't even think he could see anything. I just think he assumed this is where my guy is going to be. So he just threw it up like right to Micah McFadden. And that was pretty much it. From there, we wildcard our way down the field. Tuttle actually makes a few passes here. 2 of them, actually, one of them to Ty Fry for only his second catch of the game. And then they end up scoring, and then punt, and then they score a garbage time touchdown, and then that's it. So coming out of that game, I felt pretty confident in old Tuttle time. I don't know how you felt about him on the rewatch.
I thought he was, again, it's hard to analyze his play because I felt like the game was already over pretty much when he came in. Again, it may have been 1 score still at the point when he actually came in, or it may have been 2 at that time, but it was effectively over. Maryland had given up. Their biggest obstacle that whole game was themselves. They couldn't get out of their own way. They were having turnover. They went through 3 interceptions. They had numerous awful penalties that made no sense. That were just completely unforced errors. And they hadn't played in, was it 2 or 3 weeks? They had 23 players still out. They were just looking to get the hell over that game. They knew that when they were down more than 1 score, that there was no chance. They had no offensive firepower to get back in the game. Penny Boone, goodness gracious,
yeah,
who looked like a quarter.
Man. Oh, nice. More like quarter Boone.
God damn it! I tried to sneak that in there. Yeah, I mean, he was their only offense for a while. Yeah, there was just nothing positive to speak of from their side. So, I want to say Tuttle looked decent. He didn't look scared. He didn't look like the moment was too big for him. But the moment was so small to begin with, it's really hard to evaluate how well he did.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking 5 passes, 5 for 5. They limited him throwing the football down the field, which is pretty much what they did.
He lined up at receiver probably about 1/3 of the plays.
Yeah. So to me, coming out of the game, I'm like, all right, cool. Tuttle looks okay. I mean, he looks good too. He stands pretty tall. I think he's 6'4".
Yep.
I guess I could just look this up.
He's got the body for it. I mean, he's a the measurables.
6'4", 215. God, that makes me feel fat. So 6'4", 215. I mean, he just looks like a quarterback back there. And he looked good from the 5 passes that he threw. Gives us a ton of confidence going into the Wisconsin game. Any other things we need to talk about in this? I don't think so. If we just look at like some of the headlines around, it's just basically the 3-3-3 game. Stevie had 3 touchdowns. We had 3 picks, 3 sacks. That's it. And they scored 3 points all game, minus a garbage time touchdown, like literally garbage time. I'm pretty sure the dude was more open on the touchdown than he was on the missed touchdown in the first quarter.
Yes.
Like when we were
Yes.
actually trying. So,
Yeah. I think, as much as I said last week that even in the loss, I was very, pleasantly surprised with IU and thought that they deserved a lot of the credit that they were getting or maybe hadn't quite gotten yet. This game gave me the exact opposite feeling. I think I texted you after this game and said, "Oh, we might have a shot now." And obviously, before that, I didn't know that Penix was going to be out for the season. I think by the end of the season was like, "Oh shit, you guys have figured it out that you would beat us in either one of those two games that never got played." But at that point, I kind of had a little bit more optimism that we could compete against IU. But there was nothing in there that how do you, even with the win, how do you have excitement after the end of that game? I think you're just happy to survive. And
well, I think that seeing Tuttle, seeing that he looked fairly confident, granted 5 passes, but he made a pretty good play on a high snap and didn't freak out about that. For me, I was like, all right, cool. We had over 200 yards rushing. That was good to get that going. We took what looked like a high-powered offense in Maryland and just completely shut that down. And special teams looked good. Like, to me, I came out of the game thinking we probably should have scored 42, 49 points.
Absolutely.
But I feel pretty good. And if Penix is out, I don't feel awful having Tuttle in there because I think the receivers were good enough to carry him.
I also think there was a version of this game that you guys lose 21-17. If they convert those touchdowns early, which they were running up and down the field on you guys the first couple of drives. I know there was scripted plays, and you should be pretty effective on those plays, the ones you've been practicing all week. But this game could have been 14-0 right off the bat, and then IU is in an uphill climb the entire game, and then actually has to show that kind of mettle, that comeback energy. So I think you guys should just, kind of be happy to get out of there alive. I think that's really the only takeaway from this that you can have. And even though you're down a quarterback and you can be optimistic about him going into the next week, what are you guys at this point? 4-1, or is it
5-1 after this game?
So there was supposed to be 2 games left, and then a conference pair-up game, and then a bowl game. So you would have had 4 games left on your schedule. Do you feel that Jack Tuttle could have led you 4-0 the rest of that if you had played every one of those games?
So for me, I was cautiously optimistic that Penix would be back on the next week.
Sure.
And then when we find out Tuttle's in, then it's like fully invested into Tuttle at that point. And then going into that Wisconsin game, seeing the way that he started that game, the confidence was fine. It didn't work out after having, the kid was off for a month, a month and a half between games. So, had he been able to carry that momentum through a win over Purdue, and then who knows whoever we would play in said weird conference championship week, and then Ole Miss, or maybe at that point we don't even play Ole Miss. Maybe at that point we play Oregon, and it's a whole different season. But this is something I was trying to get to with Brandon last week was I do think, like, in one part of my either heart or brain or something, I don't know which one, that I think a lot of the times this year we've been lucky on a lot of the things that have always hurt us probably the entire time I've been an IU football fan. Missed open receivers in end zones, tipped balls that we pick, just
overcoming
a lot
injuries
of
to key
takeaways
players.
in general. Yeah, and injuries from key players, stuff like that. But then on the other side, it's like a lot of these interceptions, a lot of these turnovers, a lot of these other things are not just, a slightly overthrown ball or a tipped
They're plays
ball,
being made.
Yeah.
They're not Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not errors. They're plays being made.
So we'll
I will
get
give
to
you
this
that.
in significance of win, at least for me, but I was pretty confident coming out of this game. So let's get to let's stop talking about the game if we can.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's get to players of the game. I will start just since you don't normally. Well, actually, I'll let you start since there's a pretty obvious offensive player of the game. I'll just let you go ahead and snatch him up.
Yeah, it's got to be Stevie Scott. You said it, 3 touchdowns. I don't have his yards in front of me, but it felt like he was snapping off some pretty good yards. He was getting health. I don't want to say healthier, but his lean was getting more intense as the game went on, where he was getting the extra 2 or 3 yards after the hit. It felt like every single run. He really set the tone, whether he was at the Wildcat or he was in the traditional backfield. He was the guy who was really pushing the offense forward when they didn't have anything else to balance him out, except for, debatably the other running backs who were kind of getting rotated through.
Yeah, so this is a big Stevie Scott game. In 24 carries. He didn't have a ton of yards. I know that you think that without looking at the stats, he only had 80 yards rushing.
That's what I would have guessed. Yeah, I would have said mid 80s.
So about 3.3 per carry, 3
they were
touchdowns.
Effective yards though.
But yeah, at the beginning of the game, a lot of those read options, the things that killed us earlier in the season where we could not. I mean, this was awful for us, at least when we're like the years that we barely missed a bowl game, or the years that we even last year. I mean, the guy's the leading rusher coming into the season in the Big Ten and in active running backs. But before that, you had Divine Redding running for 1,000 yards. You had Tevin Coleman, which we all know about him. You have crazy good running backs. And then Jordan Howard. Yeah.
Sorry, former Bear.
No, that's fine. That's the one I was forgetting the transition over. It's just this year was just an awful, I don't want to say an awful offensive line, but like an offensive line that never gelled because there was so much movement between the tackles, and you have a bunch of grad transfers that were kind of thrown in. So I'd be interested to see what we do next year. I know that Tim Baldwin kind of then he's going to be my pick for player of the game on offense since you took Stevie, but he kind of had his quote breakout game. It was really the only time he played significant snaps. 16 carries, 106 yards, which is 6.5 or 6.6 per carry. The kid is like lightning in a bottle, which is something IU hasn't had for a little bit. You could say, David Ellis or some other ones, but this kid's like kind of high-end talent almost. And if you've listened to I think it was the first podcast that we did, I love this kid. Like, I think he's going to be big. And I think with having Samson James next year, that's your Stevie Scott. I don't want to say replacement. I would almost say upgrade.
But it's a Thunder Lightning combination.
Yeah,
I think
that's exactly what you've got. Yeah. And you don't have to use David Ellis back there anymore.
Slot receiver.
Although today this game he was effective running the football through the Wildcat, mainly outside, which is where he needs to be running the ball. So that's my offensive player of the game. Defense is going to be we kind of talked about this before we started recording, but defense will be a little tougher to pick. I'll let you start that one.
Yeah, I went DK. DK Bonhomme. Had to look him up. Again, I was a little ignorant to him. He had not flashed for me in the previous games. And I think there was a lot of more obvious players when you have Mullen, when you have Johnson, Williams, all these different guys doing stuff. But for this one, he flashed a couple times for me, both in the backfield and downfield, which I thought was kind of a versatility that IU sometimes lacked on defense. They have people who can occasionally rush the passers. They have some guys who can drop in coverage, not a lot of guys who can do both. I think Micah McFadden, kind of an in-the-box rushing, blitzing linebacker. But he's had a couple picks, but I don't think he's the greatest cover guy per se. But in this game, it seemed like DK had some of those skills, and I didn't remember him from any other games. So I wanted to at least highlight him here because, like I said, I don't think there's going to be any other games where he's going to get much run.
Yeah, this was his, again, I don't not like using this term, but this is his quote coming out game. DK had played a decent amount his
Did he go right
freshman year.
back in afterwards, though? I
Well,
guess
he's
this is my ignorance coming out.
sure. So he's a backup to McFadden and Miller. So James Miller and McFadden are you're starting and Jones, I guess.
Interior linebackers.
Linebackers. Yeah. So he's gonna fill in behind him. But he got a lot of play. I think he may have even started. But he was good. He had the safety. That was his TFL. He had a couple good plays on the outside. I remember up against the sideline where he made a couple stops, either on a quick pass or to his brother running outside of the tackle. I know he had a tackle on Quarter Boone too. But my pick's going to be, and this was a game that I just watched again this morning. And I wasn't fully invested into totally watching it, but I was more listening to the commentary. And the name that I kept hearing coming up over and over and over again was Cam Jones. And now that I don't have Brandon on the pod to sit here and poo-poo all over him, I thought Cam Jones had a great game. Now, he only had 3 sacks or only 3 tackles, but he was all over to his brother. Like, he had 2 quarterback hurries. He didn't have any sacks, no TFLs. But the dude was I thought, in my opinion, a difference maker with just being around the ball.
That was the exact phrase I had written down, around the ball.
Yeah, and that's what you want. I mean, that's what you want. If you're not going to be making the actual play, if you're being talked about being around the football, that's perfect for you being on defense. So, are we going to do Brando's Randos, or do you not have any Brando's Randos?
I had one comment that I wanted to. I've heard you say, and previous
before
podcasts.
We get to it,
oh dear God, do it.
Do you have one?
I have a rando.
Okay,
but it's
it's
an opinionated correction.
Before we get to Brando's Randos, brought to you by Seth, let's talk to you about who brought our podcast to you, or something like that. So, our sponsor, as always, is Monon Track Club. Monon Track Club is Indiana's running brand built on a deep love for the sport. In the Hoosier State, they craft products, tell stories, and create experiences that aim to celebrate, support, and add to Indiana's running culture. Seth, do you like running?
No.
Yeah, me neither. But do you like sick hoodies and t-shirts?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, check out the link in the show notes to shop MTC and support an IU alumni small business. As a thank you to our listeners, they are offering 10% off your first purchase with promo code LEO10. That's LEO10. Now, over to Seth's version of Brando's Randos. What you got?
All right. So you were saying that you didn't think the offensive line was very good this year. And on the whole, for the majority of the season, I have to agree with you. But on this game, you just mentioned that Timmy Baldwin had 106 yards. Stevie Scott had 80. I imagine Ellis had to have another 20 some yards. And then we had Penix ran for at least 21 on the play off the sideline. That sounds like almost 250 yards rushing.
That is correct.
What are you complaining about, dude?
So
there were holes.
Well,
there were holes for days.
Sure. So let's take a look at what they've done all season. I'm doing this as you're formulating your argument. I immediately went to the box scores of the Northwestern game, who ran for 325 yards against Maryland. Back. Chris Berman.
No,
that's 2 weeks in a row that I've done a Chris Berman thing. Minnesota ran for 262 yards. So
they gave up a lot of running yards against no matter what.
Is probably not very good at playing defense against the run. And considering that their leading tackle, I'm pretty sure his name is Chance, who was a dog from Homeward Bound. They're probably not going to do great at tackling. And Penn State had 94 yards rushing.
Penn State has their own problems.
They've got a lot of problems. Those are prior to IU. Just their other game, just real quick, speaking of teams with problems, Rutgers I cannot imagine they had more than 50 yards rushing with their running backs. 235 yards rushing.
All right. I will concede my point. But anyways, they were creating holes out there. I think that of all the games that you can say that they were doing maybe not the best effort they've had, I think this is probably one of their highlighted games, especially the interior three, the guards in the center. I thought they were moving around the nose tackle and the inside linemen of Maryland fairly easily, and letting especially in the Wildcat formations, letting the running backs get to the second level.
Yeah, the interior linemen of IU are the soul of what they were able to do last year. With Kreider, Powell, and they kind of switched the right guard out quite a bit. I think it was Mackenzie Norwa quite a lot. I'll be really interested to see what they do next year. I know they got the transfer coming in from Michigan. I think he's going to go straight into center or into guard. And then they've got, I think, another JUCO transfer or D1 transfer coming in. So either way, that's a different pod. Let's get to significance of win. For me, this was a confidence win, and I'll tell you why. Confidence win for the defense after giving up 42 the week before. This defense has given up some points against Penn State and Ohio State, but other than that, they've been really good. And this game in particular kind of showed their bend don't break kind of style that they can have, as well as once they turn the ball over, those teams that they play against, the confidence is gone. I mean, and against Ohio State, they had 3 picks in the 3 picks in the first half. 2 picks in the first. I can't remember. Either way, once the picks hit, they stopped scoring the football. It was done. Same with this game. Again, the touchdown pass came when I was done. Like I was already celebrating, I think, deep into the beer fridge at that point. And then my other point is the confidence for the offense to be able to run the football against a high-end opponent and to have a little bit of tuttle time there at the end. This is pretty significant as far as the win goes, and to get us into 5-1. And I think we go back into the top 10 or pretty close to the top 10 after this game. As far as a grade goes, a B+. Not great, but not terrible.
So this guarantees you a winning season, right? At 5-1, you can't be, even if you play every game out. What's the worst you can be is 5-5, I think, at that point. 5-4 maybe.
5-4.
5-4.
5-5. 5-5. You're right.
So you've guaranteed at least a 500 record at this point. So that from a program standpoint, that's got to make you feel good when you can hang your hat on another, winning season, so to speak. But for me, I think one of the 2 biggest things that I took away from this game was IU played like shit and they still won. But not only did they win, they imposed their will onto the team to the point where they quit. A bad version of IU football imposed their will on another Big Ten school that broke them in a game that IU didn't play good football. Tell me another year that IU football could do that.
1962? Whatever year we went to the Rose, I can't even remember. 65. Some old boomers yelling at their radio right now or something.
Radio 65. What's a radio? Yeah. No, but honestly, I don't. And something that Purdue can't do. Purdue can't go into Illinois and play a C- game and still get Illinois to give up. And Maryland gave up early. Maryland gave up, I would say, late in the second quarter is when I thought they had just completely mailed it in. And then they showed a couple signs of life at different points. But it really was a point where they looked across the field, saw a team with IU Hoosiers on their chest and go, not our day, fellas. Not our day.
That's right.
That means something.
That is right.
To have that kind of an emotional and mental edge over somebody is a level that this program has never seen. at least, in our lifetimes. And I don't think that it's going to go away for you guys. I think that if you guys are able to replicate this next year and moving forward, that this kind of imposition of will, which I think is something that Tom Allen is big on, imposing our will. Every coach says we want to impose our will in the offensive and defensive lines. Everybody says that, but you guys did it. And I think that's going to go underreported in a lot of these cases because they say, oh, you beat Maryland. What is it? 27-11, insert jerk off gif here. But that's the whole point is you showed up not really playing well, losing your best offensive player and still got a team to quit. I think that says a lot. And for that, as much as I want to say this is like a C- game and it was completely unwatchable, I think from an emotional and mental standpoint, it almost bumps it up to a solid A because it means more for the program than it means for the game itself.
Yeah, you're going to make me cry, man. Like, holy shit. Like, I should have used that as the intro. My God.
You like to be legitimized?
That,
boiler up.
that is exactly how a lot of us feel. And again, there's a thing that I actually talked about it with somebody the other day. There's a point after the Michigan win. Now, granted, at that time, we don't understand they were who they were, I guess. They are who we thought they were. But Tom Allen says something in his post-game press conference along the lines of, I've been laughed at, I've been mocked, but we're still here and we're doing it now, or something like that. We're here, baby. And I was like, it's something that's not word for word, but it's incredible, whatever he says. And it's just like, that is exactly how the diehard IU football fans, the people that went through Kevin Wilson, went through before that, even Bill Lynch, and then went through the Kevin Wilson 1 and 11 year, including getting pumped up for a loss at Lucas Oil Stadium to Ball State to start it off. And then, this is finally here, and it's going to continue to happen because these players that are coming in, and especially maybe even in 2022, based off of what our targets are they're not going to slip. I mean, they're just going to keep getting better and better and better each year. In the last maybe 3 or 4 years, we've had the top ranked recruit in program history coming in. Now, granted, one of them turned out to be maybe a JUCO wide receiver. I mean, that's where he's transferring to, which we've talked about recruiting rankings before, and there was actually a pretty cool piece coming out from ESPN about underrated recruits at top programs. They did with Mullen and McFadden. About how IU just find these players, these underrated or underappreciated players, and then they just take them to a totally different level where, McFadden's coming back, and obviously Mullen. I mean, I don't know where linebackers get drafted anymore, but I would assume day 2 people next year if they show up the way that they did this last year, or have how they have their entire career, really. So either way, we will end this one, and we will be back next week for the recap of the Wisconsin game, which was actually our very first published podcast. So we will be coming full circle on the season. I do not think, and I won't speak for Brandon, but I do not think that we will be doing any sort of review of the Ole Miss game. I will leave that for Brandon because I think at this point we are getting into spring ball, and we can start talking about that schedule talk, which everybody loves. So either way, be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. It's facebook.com/podcastleo, and on Twitter it's @podcastleo. Seth's got a little side thing going on. Seth, do you have a Twitter account for your podcast?
Yeah, @Terrible Reviews. Check it out. It'll soon be live here with a movie podcast where the movies don't have to be terrible, but the reviews will be.
There you go. And shameless plug, I'm also on that podcast. So
barely.
So if you hate me, you can go over there and give us a shitty review on that one too. So just make sure that you subscribe, download, rate, and review, whether you do like or don't like it. And then if you don't like it, unsubscribe and then resubscribe, because that's bad for us. So unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and then rate, review, download everything. Either way, we all love every one of you guys, all 6 of you that listen to us. Seth, I will talk to you soon. Elio.
Peace, brother.
Elio.
Awesome day. Elio.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate that. Elio.
All right, great. Elio.
Appreciate you guys. Elio.
You're welcome, Dave. Have a great day. Elio.
Have a great day. Elio.
Appreciate you being here with us. Have an awesome day. And Elio.
Oh, thank you so much. Elio.
Well, thanks so much, Elio.
Hey, thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate that. Elio.
Appreciate you guys, man. Have an awesome day. Elio.
Awesome. Elio.
Elio.